Hello and welcome. We are going to take you through a hip-focused class today, and you will need a few props and a specific setup in your space. So you're going to need to be able to lie on the floor with the soles of your feet against a wall, and you'll want some padding for underneath your body, yoga mat, nice sheepskin or rug as you have. Be great to have a pillow to put under your head. And then you will need a garden variety bath towel, which we might have you use in a couple different ways. All right. So we're going to start off warming up our spine and our hips with some cat-cow and Hip-E.Rs, and then we'll get right into our hip external rotation work for today. So find your way into a quadruped position, feeling your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And then just take a few breaths to bring yourself into the present moment and notice how your body is feeling just being in this shape. From here, we're going to begin to move the spine, starting at your tailbone. See if you can tuck your tail under and begin to find some rounding through the lowest part of your back, moving up through the mid-back, into the upper back, all the way through the spine that travels in between your shoulder blades, and finally into your neck. When you're as round as you feel like you can be, again, I invite you to just pause and take a few breaths to see if there's any more roundness that's willing to happen through your full spine that might benefit from a pause and some extra breath. And then begin again down at your tailbone. Can you send your tailbone up to the ceiling and find a little arch in the lowest part of your spine, moving up through the mid-back, into the spine that connects to your ribs and traveling through your shoulder blades until finally you find your way into your neck, because your neck is part of your spine. Who knew? All right, gang, you've got another 45 seconds here to keep exploring this juicy motion, doing your best to track through each part of your spine. Again, our goal is to be able to bring awareness and motion to each segment of our spine. And of course, that's a project. It's not going to happen all at once or all in one day. Beautiful. Let your breath keep moving in and out as naturally as you can. Excellent. All right, gang, let that go. We're going to come into a side lying position for our Hip-E.Rs. This is where you may want to grab your pillow or your towel so that you have something to prop up your head in the side lying position. And we're going to set up our side lying, since we have the wall here, such that your non-moving leg gets to have the sole of the foot pushing into the wall. So you're going to scooch on down, exactly. So you can press the sole of your foot into the wall. And this is just another point of contact to help you gather some tension and stability through your non-moving parts, right? One of the trickiest parts with our Hip-E.Rs is that it's a big joint, and so it wants to pull in other parts of the body. And we want to investigate with these Hip-E.Rs what just the thigh bone moving in the hip joint can do. So use that pressure into the wall to gather some tension into your bottom leg. Take a deep breath. Pack some air into your belly and brace around it. Use your top hand either as a support into the floor or any of your self-tactile reminders to keep tension through your midsection and to limit movement through your low back and your pelvis. Once you feel like you're ready there, we're going to begin by driving the top leg back behind you, finding some contraction sensations that pulls that leg behind you, and then starting to lift up towards the ceiling, coming around, bringing that knee towards the chest, any amount that's pinch and pain-free, and then coming down to scrape past the bottom thigh. Go ahead and continue on in that same direction. As you move through this Hip-E.R today, can you key into what muscles are contracting to pull you into each position? And what does it feel like to maintain that sensation of bracing through your midsection? See if you can just toggle back and forth between those two mental focuses as you go. And then breathing, try to let that happen as well. Lovely. Nice. Wherever you are, pause and just bring the knees back together. Take a moment here to reset your trunk tension, just in case that started to slip away. Packing some air, bracing your midsection. And then we're going to go in the opposite direction. Pulling the knee towards your chest. Pushing that leg up towards the ceiling. Starting to kick behind you, reaching your thigh bone behind your belly button or thereabouts. And then pulling that leg down towards the floor until you make contact between the thighs. Keep going in that same direction. Starting to key into what muscles can I feel engaging or contracting or waking up and lighting up to draw my thigh into each of these positions and angles and pathways. And what does it feel like to maintain brace through my midsection such that I'm holding my spine and my pelvis steady, everything that would be inside your leotard or your one-piece bathing suit. Beautiful. Last 13 seconds. Finding that slow, smooth, controlled pace, exploring your sensations. Keep going for 3, 2, 1. Wherever you are, let that go. Excellent. Roll over to face the other way. Propping up your head in the new position and pressing your bottom foot into the wall to gather some firmness into that bottom leg. Deep breath in. Pack some air into your belly. Brace the muscles around it. Choose what you're going to do with that top hand to support this action. And start driving your top leg back behind you. Then lifting up towards the ceiling, knee and ankle rising together, pulling that thigh towards your chest, pulling the knee down towards the floor until the thighs make contact. You scrape through and continue on in that same direction. Beautiful. As you continue circling, checking in. What muscles all around my hip, front, side, back of thigh, what can I feel engaging to draw my thigh into each of these positions and transitions? And am I still keeping a strong brace through my midsection? Good. Pause wherever you are, let the knees come together. Reinvest in bracing your midsection. It just sneaks away inevitably, so we'll get that fired back up. Nice will. And then opposite direction, pull your thigh towards your chest. Push that knee and ankle up towards the ceiling. Endeavor to kick back, pushing your thigh bone behind your belly button, and then down towards the floor until the thighs brush past and make contact. Continue on in that same direction. Feeling for sensations of muscle contraction, lighting up, turning on. What's engaging to pull you into each of these positions, each of these arcs of this motion. Let it be a wake-up call to the hip tissues. Beautiful. Breathing in there somewhere. Will's doing a great job, but we know that folks tend to forget to breathe when they have a couple different points of mental focus on movement. Keep circling for 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Okay, we're going to roll onto our backs now. And the feet are going to actually come up on the wall, soles of the feet on the wall here. And we want to be a little ways away from the wall so your knees won't quite be at a 90 degree. The hips will be a little further away, so you've got some room to play with these next couple of explorations. The first thing we're going to explore is our ability to move our pelvis relative to our thigh bones, which is the thing I was asking you to just not do in the Hip-E-R. So think of your legs as a fixed thing in space, your pelvis, which is like the contents of your Speedo. We're going to see if we can curl into a posterior pelvic tilt where you feel your tailbone get light up off the floor a little bit, and then roll into an anterior pelvic tilt which is where if you had a belt buckle, you'd feel like you were tilting that belt buckle towards the wall. You might feel a little extra arch under your back. Just keep exploring back and forth between those two motions. Now, I just want to normalize that for some people, you'll have feel like you have a decent amount of movement there. For other people, you'll be like, what? This is barely happening. And you might imagine that if I were watching you, I wouldn't even see it. All of that is okay and really normal. There's a lot of variance in how much the pelvis is willing to move in various individuals. So the important thing here is not that you look like Will, but that you start to get familiar with what your options are. How much anterior pelvic tilt do I have? How much posterior pelvic tilt do I have? What are my choices and variables to play with? Because we're going to use those as we get into this hip work a little bit later. Good. And then settle in what feels like the middle of those two extremes for you. The other thing I'd love for you to play with here, and this is even more subtle, if you thought that was subtle, here we go. Think about shifting a little more weight into one side of your hip. So if you feel into the space, the area of your pelvis that's touching the floor, can you make one side heavier, like it's printing into the sand a little bit more? And then can you make your other side heavier? And Will's doing a really nice job of kind of exaggerating this motion. So if you're really feeling like you need a little visual, you can peek at the screen for a second and then just come back in to start feeling it for yourself. You might feel the opposite hip lift a little bit, which is fine. See if you can emphasize sinking the heavy side a little deeper, having that weight shift into one side or the other side. This is actually the lower segments of your spine and your pelvis rotating. Who knew? Good. Nice, nice, nice. And then settle yourself right in the middle of those two options and variables. Also want to name that it might feel really different side to side. All right, so now we're going to get into our hip external rotation work. This is a great alternative to the 90-90 position for folks. And what I love about it is that it gives us a ton of variables to help find the right stretch for you. So we're going to start with the left leg crossing over the right. So kind of a familiar like figure 4 position, which may even be a stretch that you've experienced. Now, for some folks, you might feel a stretch right away. And Will, can I have you gesture to the general area? Yeah, since HR might not like it if I gesture to that myself. Yeah. So you might feel some stretch through the outer hip area, but some deep in the cheek type stuff would be awesome, but it might be more superficial for you. And then the other factor that you might feel, go ahead and show that one. Yeah, you might feel kind of a sort of swooping stretch from inner thigh groin stuff across to quad stuff. All of that is fair game. We're really trying to talk to your hip capsule, which is deep rotation stuff, and that has sort of connections out to much of the superficial stuff. Now, if you're feeling a great stretch here, awesome. Stay in it, start to breathe and relax. If you're like, no, this is fine, you can scoot your hips closer to the wall, which will bring you into more hip flexion and hip external rotation, which might help you bias a little more stretch. Yep. You can also use your own hand to lever your thigh away from you. Exciting. And then you've got your tiniest pelvic variables to play with. So you can anteriorly pelvic tilt, pinning your tailbone down into the floor, finding a little arch through your low back, or you can posteriorly pelvic tilt. You can also play with shifting more weight into that left stretching side, or shifting more weight into the right side of the pelvis. These are all toggleable pieces to help you find your most interesting stretch to work with, and that might evolve as you return to this class. So each time, please run yourself through these diagnostics and decide which line of tension you're going to work with for the day. Okay, Will, you got a good one? Great. Yes, so the other factor here is that anterior pelvic tilt or posterior pelvic tilt might start to feel very fatiguing to hold just from your own musculature. So here's where your towel comes in. You can roll it up if you're finding a good stretch in the anterior pelvic tilt and put it under that space in your low back so you can relax into a little bit more of a passive stretch. If you're getting a good stretch in posterior pelvic tilt, you could fold it up and stick it under your bum or under your tailbone. to help support the position of the pelvis, right? That's the one I've been digging on lately. Yeah, yeah. So play around with, where do I need a little bit of lift to hold me in this nice position that I found so that I can relax into this passive stretch. And then let's take a few breaths here together. So just allowing a slow breath to come in, and then inviting your exhale to be even a little slower. Letting yourself come into awareness of any sensations that are present in this position. And then seeing if you can invite yourself to really direct your focus towards the stretch that you're feeling. What's the texture of it? Does it have a temperature signature? Does it feel good and like you want to get in there? Or does it make you feel a little bit like, I don't know about this? All of this is fair game, and it's just useful to acquaint yourself with what is true and what's happening for you. In a moment, we're going to start to engage that stretching tissue with our pales contraction. And this is an isometric, so we want to make sure that nothing actually moves, but we're trying to create a contraction with directional force. So, staying in the angle of hip that you've found, I'm going to ask everyone, if you don't already, to place one hand or both against the front of the thigh, that left stretching leg. You're going to start to engage pressure of your left ankle into your right thigh, as though you're trying to sweep that leg back to a parallel rotation. So we're really trying to start with rotational isometric force. That pressure of your ankle will build up to a point where you'll feel your knee kick back into your hands a little bit, and that's actually great. That gives us our 2 points of leverage to feel that nice rotation. Start building that up. You're probably already at around 20% effort. Slowly increase till you feel like you're at 50% or half of what you could possibly do. And then start building that even further, finding your way towards 70%. And again, you can hop off at whatever percentage feels like the safest, greatest for you today. If you're still feeling good, build that up to what feels like 80 to 90%. So a really good, strong contraction, strength training type effort, trying to rotate and sweep your leg through, feeling increased pressure of your ankle against your thigh, increased pressure of your knee, thigh against your hands. Keep holding, maintaining for 5, 4, 3, 2, stay in position. 1, slowly melt that effort away. And now, brace your midsection. Really commit to this position of your bones staying where they are. Try to find the contraction that could draw you in the opposite direction. What would make your ankle light against your knee? We don't expect any motion here. And what might make your thigh try to pull away from your hand? You can keep your hand where it is as a target. Some folks feel better contraction, putting the hand on the back to push into and feel like they're scooping that ankle away from. Variables to play with. Try to find a nice strong contraction of the muscles that would give you more external rotation, more of that hacky sack motion for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax, melting that contraction away. And then start reestablishing your stretch. Your stretch position may have moved, so it's possible you'll want to scoot your butt closer to the wall. It's possible you'll sink right back into that same stretch position. It's also possible your rails contraction illuminated a deeper stretch on the opposite side of the hip. So again, this is a place where there's a lot of difference for different folks. But find that good juicy stretch once again, and just take a few breaths here. We're not going to spend quite as long in the stretched position this time. Just want to give you a little time to recover so that you feel like you can give this a nice strong effort for a second set. All right, gang. Placing your hand or hands against the front of your thigh, bracing your midsection, committing to this position, nothing moves. Start to find rotational force, ankle pressing heavier into right thigh, as though you're trying to sweep through back to parallel. Feel that knee and thigh kicking forward into the hands, and search for the sensation of, I am engaging the tissue that was stretching in my outer hip region. ramping that up slowly and gradually, making your way up to 50%. Try to do it one number at a time, 21, 22, 23, best you can. As you get to 50%, amp up the brace in your midsection, start climbing up towards 70%, starting to make it feel like a strength training effort, and then work your way towards as close to 100% maximum effort as you feel safe to give today for this hip on this moment. Ready? Go for it. Building up, hold, good. Keep that effort going for 5, 4, 3, 2, keep your body on tension, stay in position. 1, now try to switch. Can you rotate in the opposite direction, making your ankle light off of your thigh? Feeling your knee perhaps want to reach away from your chest. Try to rotate, rotate, rotate in the opposite direction for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay in position, but slowly fade away all of that effort. Whizza! Nice work. Okay, you can take your leg out of that position. You can wiggle a little bit if you just need to give yourself a moment. Yes, this is focused stuff, right? And then reestablish your feet on the wall. And we're gonna bring that new leg into our figure 4 position. Now, new hip, whole different situation, right? So run through your diagnostics. Do I feel a good stretch here? Do I need to scoot a little closer to the wall? Or do I feel like I'm already peeling my hips off the ground and I need to scoot a little further away from the wall? From there, check in with your pelvis. If I poke my tailbone down into the ground, anterior pelvic tilt, do I get a better stretch? If I curl my tailbone up off the ground, posterior pelvic tilt, do I get a better stretch? Shifting weight into the stretching hip, shifting weight into the opposite hip. Yeah. And then prop yourself. Support that position with your towel as best you can. And then always there's this option of pressing the knee slightly away from the chest with the straight arm. Once you get into a good stretch, you just want to acquaint your nervous system with that position, taking some slow, calm breaths, thinking happy thoughts. I think it's always worth saying that end range, part of the reason we feel resistance and we feel a stretch is that that is the line at which our nervous system has decided we're safe up to that line, but not past that line. So part of earning new range of motion that we can use in our active day-to-day vocabulary is going right to that edge where it might not feel comfortable, it might not feel safe, we might encounter some internal resistance, and that we meet that resistance with just sort of like loving awareness, and then we do some strength training there to claim that borderland for ourselves. All right, so take one more relaxed breath, befriending those stretch sensations that you're feeling, and then nothing's gonna move. We're just gonna start to build up that rotational isometric Pales contraction. The hand or hands block the position of the knee. You're going to start to make your ankle press more into your thigh as though you're trying to unrotate back to parallel. Slowly building up to what feels like a nice 20% effort. Just chill, feeling it. And then building up from 20% to 50%, taking your time, incrementally inching up. Good, and then building from 50% to 70%, something that feels a lot more like a strength training effort. Good, and then building up to somewhere between 80 and 90. So this first one, you've still got somewhere else to go, but you're finding a nice, strong effort. Hold that pressure, hold that tension, really visualizing yourself trying to rotate the leg, but your other leg is in the way for 5. 4, 3, 2, stay in position. 1, slowly fade that effort all the way back down to 0. And then brace your midsection and start to find the opposite intention of effort. Again, no movement is expected, but what would need to engage for you to rotate into more external rotation? What would need to happen for your ankle to get light off of your knee? Again, you can take your hand around to the back side of your thigh towards the wall for a little pressure there. Build that up to the strongest contraction that you can find comfortably today. And hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, stay in position. 1, slowly relax it down. Good. Start to reestablish your stretch. Do you need to scoot a little closer to the wall? Do you need to bunch up your towel a little more? Do you need to push a little more with your same side arm? Find a nice juicy stretch there. Beautiful. And then we'll go into our pails and rails, round 2. All right, gang. Starting small, give a little extra pressure of ankle into thigh, trying to rotate that leg back to parallel, feeling some kickback in your thigh into your hand, building that up slowly to 50%. Good. And then gathering tension from the rest of your body, you can push into the wall with your other foot, which I really like. Start to build up towards 70% effort, trying to really crank that rotational force and then build up to your greatest, safest effort. So if you've got 100% to give today, build up to that. If you got to stop at 80, that's fine. Find that maximum safe effort that you can do today and hold it. Maintain. Keep that pressure alive. Keep that intention of rotation for 5, 4, 3, 2, stay on tension. 1, reverse the rotational intent. Try to make your ankle light off of your thigh. Try to twist your thigh bone such that that inseam would roll towards the outside of your body. Strongest effort you can give here. 5, 4, 3, 2, stay in position. 1, slowly fade that effort away. All the way back down to 0. Nice job. Yeah. This is good. Okay, great. Taking that leg away, fabulous. And then take your towel off as well. Scooch your hips a little further from the wall, fabulous. And then you're gonna, whichever leg was just working, place that down on the floor and bring your other leg up so that the knee is right over the hip. Fantastic. We're just gonna do some hip capsule CARs here to quickly save and upload our work. So give me a nice brace through your midsection and then start to rotate your thigh in one direction, maxing that out, and then rotate your thigh in the opposite direction. And we're just gonna go back and forth like that. Trying to pin that kneecap right over your hip joint and twist your thigh into as much external rotation as it's willing to express, and then as much internal rotation as it's willing to express. Good, yeah. Your pelvis will try to hitch a ride on this movement, so you can use your own hands on your pelvis on either side to just give a little extra tactile awareness there. Good, last 5 seconds as you find those places where your body stops moving, really befriend them. Put a little extra pressure there. Good, 3, 2, and 1. And set that foot down. Nice. Bring your new leg up. Give me a little brace through your midsection. If you'd like, you can put a fingertip on your kneecap and start to twist your thigh bone as much as you can in one direction and then as much as you can in the opposite direction. Back and forth like so. Good. And again, new hip, new story. So the pelvis might be doing different fun things. If you want to bring your hand or hands onto those bony ridges of your pelvis to give you more awareness there, go for it. Nice. Last 15 seconds. As you find those edges, fight for more. Twist until you stop twisting. find a little extra. You may not create any more motion, but you might feel and engage some different muscles that help with that rotational stuff, and that's a win. 3, 2, and 1. Great, set that down. Fantastic. Okay, so now we're gonna do a little break for the hips and a little movement for the spine. So you're gonna wanna grab your towel and get it just folded into quarters. Maybe one fold over, yeah. This is another place where it'll vary per the person. But what we're gonna do is have our feet against the wall. Let's scooch a little closer. So hips will be under the knees, feet will be against the wall, and then you're gonna sneak that towel right under your tailbone, such that as you rest down, you feel like your low back is able to round down towards the floor, but in a really relaxed way. So play around with where that towel needs to be for you so that you feel kind of like, my low back is gently hammocking towards the wall. And this should generally feel fairly relaxing. Arms can be down by your sides, and we're going to use the legs to help us move our spine a little bit. So you're gonna feel some leg action and also some trunk spine engagement stuff. Our goal here is to keep the feet where they are on the wall. So give a little pressure into the wall as though you're both pushing away and pulling down. So you've super glued those feet. And then feeling that you're already in that slightly rounded low back position, can you start to curl your tailbone up towards the ceiling so that you're rounding and peeling your spine up off the ground, and the hips will actually lift here. And again, this is gonna feel like some work in the back of the legs, peeling up until you feel like you're starting to remove maybe your bottom ribs. And this is also a variable to play with. You can roll up further if it feels good. You could pause early if you're not feeling great. Pause wherever you are, and then feel into, where is the last part of my spine touching the floor? Can I crunch a little bit and make the next vertebra touch down, and then the one below that, and then the one below that, and then the one below that, until I've rolled all the way back down and my pelvis is back on the towel. Good. Keep working with that. We're going to work for time, so no need to match Will's pace. Working on peeling your spine up off of the floor and towel, and then peeling your spine back down. Great opportunity to use the tactile feedback of the floor to feel if you're able to move segmentally through your spine. And again, you'll feel like your legs are working, because they are. They must, to support the weight of your pelvis. Nice. Breathing as you move. Good, and just checking in as you're continuing to move that you're not grabbing too much tension in the neck, that you can leave your head relaxed and supported on the pillow. Last 13 seconds. Three, 2, 1, finish up, bringing yourself back down to the floor. Beautiful. Okay, set that towel off to the side. And now we're gonna do a little bit of our dying bug variation. So where before we were trying to feel our spines move, now we are trying to find as much sort of tension and air brace through our midsection so that the spine does not move as we begin to remove the feet from the wall. So from here, feel a little tiny curl of your tailbone towards the ceiling, just such that you feel your low back flatten into the floor. And this is more to give you awareness of where your spine is or isn't. From here, take in a breath, trap some air in your belly, and start to stiffen your musculature around it. Will always says it's as though like a small dog or cat is about to pounce right on your belly. And so you want to have a little stiffness around that canister of air that you've trapped. And then of course, you may feel some belly jiggle outside of those strong muscles, and that's rad too. All right, hold that. And then see if you can start to make your right foot feel light, like you do not need it on the wall, or maybe you could even remove it without anything changing through that midsection. And again, you can self-tactile. And if it feels like you could even take that foot off. If it feels better, just play with the lightness idea, you can go with that, and then bring it back down. Same thing on the other side. What does it feel like to make your left foot light? And can you bring that away? And return it back down. Good. Keep playing with alternating sides, feeling like you're able to maintain that stiffness through your midsection and that you're not shifting more weight into one hip or the other as your legs start to maneuver. Good. And that you're still able to breathe above that brace. Excellent. Keep playing with this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Nice work. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to bookmark that feeling because we're gonna need it for our next hip external rotation drill. So we wanna start back at the left leg where we began. What I'd like you to do is set up as though we're gonna do another set of stretch pails rails. So start to find that stretch position. And with our passive range hold, the goal is to engage that rails tissue and then take away the thing that is supporting it and try to hold that position. So just watch one example here before you get into it. So I'm gonna cue you through bracing your midsection, finding that dying bug tension, trying to find the rails contraction that could make your ankle light, holding on to that as best you can, and then you're gonna just slide your supporting foot up the wall to take away the passive support and try to hold the leg as best you can. And then we'll reset, scooping that leg back down and drawing ourselves back into our stretch position. Now, Will does a lot of Kinstretch, so you probably didn't even see the tiny bit of motion that his leg did when he took away the passive support. For everyone, there's gonna be some change. If you're truly at your passive range of stretch, when you take away that supporting leg, you're gonna lose some rotation. And that's really, really normal because we always have a little bit of a gap between our passive and active range. The goal is to hold on as best you can to that contraction feeling of the rails tissue and try to catch and hold the position that you can hold. Yeah? All right. So we're gonna do 5 5-second holds.
Oh, brutal.
I know, so fun. Strength training at end range. All right, gang, so find your stretch. Find that packed air dying bug brace ready for the pounce. Find your rails contraction, trying to scoop your ankle towards you. And then slide that leg off the wall and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bend it, scoop it back in. Good. Reinvest in your brace. Find that rails contraction. Try to scoop the ankle towards your opposite shoulder. Take the leg away and hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in. Reestablish that passive range. Don't just set up to where you fell to. Coming all the way in. Brace. Find that rails contraction. Try to pull your ankle towards you. Then take the leg away and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's 3. We're past the halfway point. Scoop it in. Brace. Rails. And slide that passive support away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's 4. Scoop it back in. Reestablish. Brace. Find your rails. Slide away and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. I know, passive range holds, man, humbling, but super, super, super magically effective for gaining more options. Okay, other leg. So again, find your stretch position on this side. Make the adjustments you need. Settle your pelvis. Brace your midsection. Find the rails contraction that would scoop your ankle closer to you. And then slide that other leg away and hold. 5, 4, 3. Keep trying to rotate. 2, 1. Scoop it back in. Yes, keep that directional force alive even though nothing is moving. Brace. Find rotational effort, trying to bring your ankle towards you. Slide that other leg away and hold. 5, 4. Fight for it. 3, 2, 1. Scoop it back in. That's 2. We got this. Find your stretch again. Brace. Find that rails tissue, making the ankle light. Stay engaged with it and just slide the supporting leg away. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's 3. Good. Bring it in. Good. Deep breath here. Brace. Rails. Hold that rails effort. Slide the other leg away and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's 4. Scoop it in. Last one. Best one. Brace. Find your rails. Keep it going. Slide that other leg away and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Oh my God. Okay. The good news is we don't have to do that again exactly. The better news is we're going to do another set of passive range holds, but from a standing position. So we'll meet you in standing. All right, so standing. You want to be close enough that you can put one hand on the wall, and we're going to recreate that same external rotation passive range hold. So your leg that's farthest from the wall is going to be your supporting leg. You're going to cross over the leg that's close into that figure 4 position. To find your stretch, you're going to sit down and back towards the floor, letting your torso fold forward a bit. So we're essentially recreating that same position. Find a nice stretch here. Brace your midsection. Start to find that rails effort that could try to pick your ankle up off your thigh. And then you're going to straighten your standing leg and take that leg with you. Hold. That's it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax it. Relax is a funny term because you're still very active in this position. Come back down, sitting in to find your stretch. Brace. Find that rails contraction to try to lift your ankle off and push the ground away. Take that leg with you. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, gang, one more. Sit into the stretch. Brace your belly. Try to scoop and rotate your ankle up off your thigh and then stand up and hold. Yes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly relax that leg. Zoinks. All right, gang, we're gonna do that on the other side. Will's just gonna turn around. You can do the same. Crossing your inside leg over your outside leg just above the knee. Sitting down to find your stretch. Good. Brace. Start to rotate. Find your rails contraction. Hold it as you stand up. Take that rotated leg with you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and reset. Good. Sitting in to find your stretch. Brace your midsection. Rotate to feel that rails contraction. Hold on to it as you stand up. Keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it. Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Last one, best one. Sit into your stretch. Brace. Rotate to find your rails and stand up. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly relax. This is good. Okay, turn back around. We'll just finish with a set of standing hip CARs such that we're integrating that action into a global movement that we are familiar with. So same thing, you're gonna have a hand on the wall. Your outside leg is stable, your inside leg is going to move. You're gonna start to bring that inside leg up and externally rotate it. So we wanna find all that tissue we were just working as we come up, and then hold it as you start to move out towards the wall. Rotate internally as you start to kick back, pushing that leg behind you and coming around until your thighs make contact. Pause right there and reverse. Send your leg back, come out towards the wall, come around, and now really fight for as much external rotation as you can. Can you hacky sack that ankle higher and across your body and come down? Good. Keep going. Beautiful. Nice, team. And again, this standing hip CAR, there's a lot to keep track of, right? You're trying to squeeze your standing leg butt, you're trying to keep a brace through your midsection, and you're trying to move and feel all those contractions around the outside of the hip. Good, give me one more juicy hip CAR here. You got it, team. It's the last one for this side. Dig deep. Doesn't have to get bigger. I just want you to feel and find stronger contractions around the hip. Good. And relax. Nice. Turn yourself around. New hand on the wall. Leg that was just working is now your outside and stable leg. Plant that into the floor. Brace your belly. Start to bring your inside wall leg up and across. Scoop for external rotation. Can you hacky sack that ankle up and out? And then push the leg out towards the wall. Internally rotate and kick back. Coming around until you get some nice contact between the thighs. And then rewind. Good. As you come back to the front, externally rotate. Find that rails tissue that you worked so hard to engage in your passive range holds. Beautiful. You got it, team. Fight to stay tall. Fight to stay strong in your standing leg. And rather than trying to make your hip CAR bigger, can you get stronger, clearer contractions of each bit of muscle that you feel pulling you into each and every position. Last rep. Finishing up that last rep you're working on, bringing it back around to the front. As you cut around, trying to really bias that external rotation that we've been working on today. And then relax. Nice work. Thank you so much for engaging in this part of hip exploration with us today. We look forward to hearing how this felt for you and any questions that you have on the material. Thanks again.